episode 3, the Colony podcast, introducing Natasha, Miss GB, Jonas.
Nice one.
Nice to have you on, Natasha.
Like my little introduction as I came in the room.
Yeah. I'm not singing it for you though.
Me neither.
So we've been told that you were a great footballer when you were growing up. Can you tell us about your first sporting experiences?
It all stems from, like obviously, it's a well-known fact by ours that there's a Jonas born every year too, in fact. So we come from a big family. Grew up in my nan's house. There was a lot of kids in there. We wasn't allowed to stay in the house. We had to go out and play. I had 2 older boy cousins who were like, I was their shadow. Wherever they went, I went, and they had to take me as well. So my first earliest sporting memory is probably just playing with a little flyway ball around the corner. And yeah, just at them times I was probably the last one on the footy team to be picked because I was the young girl. Yeah. But give me a year or two and I was the first one being picked after that.
So you mentioned football there, and we know that you ended up having a scholarship playing football in America. What was it like, and how did you get the scholarship? How did it come about?
I think at the time the American females had just won the Women's World Cup for like the 2nd or 3rd time, and they was the world number ones. They still are, to be fair. Yeah. But it was massive. Soccer was massive in America, and there was a woman there called Mia Hamm, and she was the first ever woman to get £1 million sponsorship deal by Nike. And obviously me being a kid, I watched the World Cup and I thought, oh my God, I'm well better than this. If I can get to America, then I'll get seen by like a team, I can play, I'll be professional, and I'll get £1 million sponsorship deal from Nike. And so I was pursuing, looking for universities, because I was never really academic in school. I was quite far behind. But I had this whole story with a teacher and stuff, and she helped me out and got teachers to help me out, and I eventually caught up. And then a university contacted me and was saying, look, we've seen you play for Liverpool, England, and we like you. We think you'd be a good like asset to join our team. And I thought, yeah, that's me door, that. So I took it and I went. I failed the test the first time, but the second time I took it and I passed, and I went. I was supposed to be there for 4 years. I was there for 2. I ended up getting injured, and that was the end of my footy career.
Yeah. So then, after your football career, then that was the end of it. And then next was boxing. Then how far down the line was boxing, and what made you make that first decision to go to the boxing gym?
It happened with it. So I was 20 when I finished the football, and I was 21 when I started the boxing. And basically, I'd come home from footy. Obviously, I'd snapped my ligament in my knee, and so I stopped playing footy. I wasn't going to ever play footy again. And I realised that kind of sport was my motivation to do anything. And I'd gone to America with this like idea that I was going to be this big, massive sports star, and have this £1 million and a house like they do on Cribs, and I'd spent this £1 million, and my nan was in the bingo telling everyone, she's in America playing, she's going to be fast. So when I came back, I felt like I'd let them all down because I wasn't. And at the time, I think Wayne Rooney was like just broke into the Everton team. He was 16. Beth Tweddle had just won the first Commonwealth gold for gymnastics. She was 15. And like, I was thinking, like, I'm 20. If I was going to be a sports person, I'd be it by now. And so I kind of fell out of love with it and stopped doing all sport. Obviously, when you do that, I put on a bit of weight. People don't realise how social sports are. So I lost the whole friendship group of people. And then, like I say, it was just my motivation to do anything. And because I didn't have that, I'd kind of lost my identity. I lost myself. And I was like, I had 7 jobs in 1 year because I was fine on the Friday, skipping out, getting paid. But then I'd be sick on the Monday because I'd been partying with mates all weekend. So there's only so many times you can do that before they realise it's a habit. And then after I got sacked from my 7th job, I was like, right, something needs to change. Like, I'm back in my nan's, I'm skint, I've got no money. Yeah. And like, I need to do something. So my uncle's got a karate gym, and it's just, got to run a machine, free weights and a bag. I used to go there, just hit it. And we'd all done karate because he was our uncle, so we all did. So I wasn't brand new to punching. And Sylvia Singleton, who was my first ever head coach, she used to like watch the gym for him. And she used to see me going in. She was like, what? Like, I see you going in and out all the time. Why you're always by yourself? was like, oh, I'm just trying to lose a bit of weight and get a bit of confidence back and just keep moving. Like, I'm not working at the minute. She was like, oh, I've just started a women's only like fitness nights at the local gym, which was the Rotunda. Wouldn't you think about doing boxing? I was thinking to myself, boxing, who wants to box? Who wants to get punched in the face? But I didn't tell her that. I was just like, oh yeah, I'll come next week. And then like weeks and weeks, she was bugging me. And in the end, I just gave in. I was like, right, I'm going to go. I'm going to try it. So then the next time she says, what did you think? I'm going to say I hated it, I'm not going back. And I went. And that was 15 years ago. And I've never looked back since. Yeah.
I think it's a credit to yourself, obviously. I think you've opened their eyes for a lot of people now, a lot of young girls looking at boxing now and not seeing it as a male-dominated sport. How have you felt like kind of being a little bit of a driving force in that yourself?
Are you like plugging the new series that I'm on? There's a series called there's a series called Driving Force. It's about predominantly female athletes. Well, it's all female athletes, and about like the pivotal moments in the sport and how they changed it. So yeah, that's on Sky at the minute. My episode was last week. That's why I thought you said it. I don't, as an athlete, I don't think that you'd ever appreciate the time that you're in, because you're always so like focused on results that you never appreciate what you're doing for the whole sport in general. And it was only that when I retired from the amateur and I look back and seen all the young kids and the structure had changed, and you know there was a junior school girls and you know there's novice and over 10s and elite, and I was thinking, wow, when I joined I was boxing the same girl every year because there was only two of us. And so it's nice to see that, you know, we had to share a top when we boxed for England, because there was no, we'd got the hand-me-downs of the lads, but there was only one small top. So, you know, and now there's, you know, people got kits in abundance and whatever. So now I appreciate that. Yeah, like we kind of, not we did that, but, you know, it was kind of something that we went through that other girls will never have to do, which I'm proud of. But when you're just in that moment as an athlete, you don't really think about it, if I'm honest.
Yeah. So what was it like in the Rotunda when you first went in? What was that like?
When I first ever went in, it was just a fitness session, so it was only a woman's fit, like general fitness thing. And then Sylvia was like, after a couple of months of being there, she was like, "Look, we think you can box if like that's what you want to do." And you know, I was 21 by this time, so I'm kind of over like I've been on the little going out and getting bladdered every weekend stage. I was over the whole I'm meeting a boy at 16 kind of stage. I was an adult, you know what I mean? Young adult, but I was an adult. So I was like, I wasn't doing anything better. I was like, okay, what do I have to do? She was like, right, you're going to have to start coming to the other session, the amateur boxing session, which was basically the lads, because I was the only girl there. So I was like, I remember walking through the gym on the first day. I was like, oh God. And then everyone's doing the warm-up and like I'm at the back just toddling along, and then we do like a tech thing at the start, and Mick went, right, everyone get into partners. And I thought, oh God, this is going to be like the footy, you know, when you're the last one picked. And as a girl, you go through them things because you have to be, I think as a female, especially in male-dominated sport, you have to be that little bit better to be kind of half accepted. So I was like, oh, this is going to be like footy. I'm going to be the last one there, standing with the worst one and the thing. And then Liam Smith just went, go ahead, I'll be your partner, Tash. And then from that day on, there was no issue. Like it was just one of the boxes then.
Because the Rotunda's renowned, isn't it? Like countrywide, everyone knows the Rotunda, don't they? So it must have been great for you going in there and learning off them type of coaches. Yeah,
I didn't know about boxing really. I remember being a footy player, watching Jane Couch taking the border control to court to be even able to box. And like I was playing footy at the time. I was thinking, oh, what, good on you, girl. Like, well done. And I didn't realise all them years later how much it would affect my life. So, and with the Rotunda, like as I say, I'd only just gone there just to keep fit. So I didn't realise, you know, the prestige of the club and the history that it had. It was only as I go, and everyone's like, where are you from? This one's, oh, it's a great club, Dad, and all that. I was like, oh, okay, I'm in a good place.
So, in your first 5 years, you won 5 ABA titles, didn't you? And I think in 2009, you come home and you won a championship in Liverpool, your home city. What was that like?
Oh, it was mad. Most of our tournaments, competitions away all the time, and you never ever get to box. Yeah. So the two tournaments that I've ever had here is the EUs, which was the one where I won the tournament, and the Olympics. So like they're not bad tournaments.
No, good
but yeah, it was just mad to go everywhere you go. Like anyone who boxes international or whatever, you'll know that like the whole world hates England. So as soon as you get mentioned, the whole crowd boos. And then when we was in Liverpool and in London, people were cheering. We were like, "Wow, this for us."
Did you have like a lot of family support and friend support when you were in the tournament in Liverpool? Was it in the Echo Arena? Was it?
No, it was in Greenbank. It was.
Oh, Greenbank.
Yeah, so I'm like only from Toxteth, which obviously it's only around the corner. So yeah, all my friends and family. And by that time, I'd been like on the England team for quite a bit of time. So like my family was close to like other girls in the squad. So they weren't just coming for my days; they were coming for the rest of the team's days. So like Jonas is everywhere screaming.
Must have been nice.
Yeah.
So then, also in 2009, I think you got picked as well to go to the Olympics in London 2012. What was that like?
We got. So what happened was they had to make a team GB because now it was an Olympic sport. So the lottery had give GB boxing funding to fund 9 females. So obviously everyone wants to go to the Olympics. People from everywhere that didn't even know boxed came to these assessments, and I was selected as one of the 9 people to be on the team. And then from 2009 to 2012, I was, competing against Chantel Cameron, Ruth Raper, and Amanda Coulson, trying to be the one person selected to go to the one qualifier that we had.
In 2012, the team was pretty strong, wasn't it? That went down there. What was it like being in the village with your team that you went down with?
It was, for the female boxing anyway, we'd come a long way, because when we first started on GB, we were like the team, give or take Nicky Adams, we were the team that like, England's kind of the easy draw, or GB was the easy draw. But then by the time 2012 came round, the female team, it was only us, Russia and China. We were the strongest teams in the... Obviously, the lads are a bit different with Cuba and Germany and whoever, but we was very strong as a team, and obviously it was only us and Russia that qualified all our teams outright without being given any free spaces. So, the captain was Tom Stork. You know what Tom's like. Yeah. So Tom, like, he's always bringing good energy, and I was close to Josh at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was mad because, one, I was going to London and people were friendly, and then 2, it was just mad because it was the biggest tournament we could have, and it was in our country. And on the run up to that, other countries were trying to be pally with us. So we had training camps in like Brazil, China, and we had like boss training camps in mad cities and mad countries, because we was the host nation, so people was trying to get on side and was inviting us to everywhere. It was boxing's like an individual sport, but everywhere, even from the Rotunda, when I was training for a fight, I was training within the Rotunda squad, within the team. When I was training with England, I was in the England team. Do you know what I mean? When I was training at GB, I'm in the GB squad. So it is an individual sport. It's only you versus another person, but it's very, very like social. And like when everyone was training towards qualifying at first, and then everyone was training because they'd qualify to go to the Olympics, it's a boss time to be around people, because everyone's buzzing, everyone's on a high, everyone's pushing everyone. And when you've qualified, there's no competition then. So there's no, it's me versus you anymore, because we'd qualified, we'd already done that. It was us versus everybody else, and that everyone was like pushing each other through, like I say, just pulling each other through sessions, because everyone wanted everyone to do well.
So I think a lot of the boxers that you boxed with, or that were in your team, went on and done well, didn't he? Professionally, I think Anthony Joshua, was it Luke Campbell as well? Was it
Luke,
yeah. They've gone on world title level.
Josh Taylor,
yeah. What was it like being with them? Did you ever think they were going to push that far?
I think that people, it's a bit like, not disrespectful to say amateur boxing, but like the standard of amateur boxing is so high,
Yeah.
male and female. You've seen that with, Katie Taylor, Lemachenko, Josh Taylor, Luke Campbell, Anthony Joshua,
Yeah.
they're just off the top of my head. That they was elite amateurs, getting medals at all the big tournaments. And Charlie, why can't I think of his second name? Charlie Edwards. He obviously didn't qualify, but he's boxed for the world title. Andrew Selby boxed for the world title.
Yeah.
So these are all, that shows you how good amateur boxing is, because the top kids in amateur are going to the top of the top of the I think in the professionals. Yeah.
Well, moving forward then, Tasha, to 2017, you turned pro. What was that like?
You know what? Another thing. It was just the opportunity that came, and I took it all my life. That's all I've done is just took me opportunities as they come. I remember Sky got me in to do Katie Taylor's debut to commentate on it. And then I done it, and then the next day Tom phoned me. I was like, I've seen you on the thing of your boss, and she's like, wouldn't you think about turning pro? And I was like, I've got a little girl too now. I'm like, shut up, Tom. I hadn't boxed for like 3 years. I was like, Tom, shut up. I'm like 2 stone overweight. I haven't ran since God knows when. I smashed the scales about 3 years ago. There's not a chance. And he was like, no, I think there's a massive opportunity, you should think about it. So I was like, shut up, put the phone down. And then like later that night I was thinking like, what is stopping me? Like the babies. I was so, when I left boxing, I had me little girl not long after. And I think that kind of took up the void that boxing leaves, because I was so focused on when you're a new mum and you're trying to be perfect and make this little perfect person, that took up the void that I missed in boxing. So I was so focused on that I didn't really mind. I didn't really even think about, oh my God, I'm missing boxing. I was still doing like coaching stuff in the Rotunda, and then like at that time when I'd done the commentary for Katie's fight and Tom had said that, she was 2 now, so she was, going to nursery. She was in her own little routine. She stayed at my mum's on this day, done this, and I went to work at these times, picked her up at these times. So I was like, well, what is stopping me? So the first 2 people I phoned was my mum and my cousin, because they see the side of boxing that no one else sees. Like people judge you after 10, 20 minutes, whatever, that you're in the ring, and they don't realise that like for that 10, 12 minutes in 2012 that I was in the ring, I've trained like 3-4 years to be there. And like all the sacrifices and everything that you go through and all that and all the ups, all the downs, nearly getting kicked off the squad and whatever. But my mum and my cousin do. People were like, it was a brilliant fight in 2012, an amazing thing for women's boxing, put women's boxing on the map. But they don't see that I cried for 3 days afterwards when I lost, you know what I mean? But they do. So I phoned my mum and I was like, Mum, Tom's just said about this, what do you think? And she was like, do you want to? And I was like, she went, do you think you can? Do you want to? I was like, yeah, definitely, I think I can. She was like, well, we'll always be here for you. We'll always support you. That like, anything you need, the baby, anything, it'll be sorted. Don't worry about it. As long as you want to do it and you're 100% committed to it, because you have to be committed, then we'll support you. Like, don't worry about it. And I was like, okay. Put the phone down, phone because, and I was like, oh, Tom's phoned me and said this. What do you reckon? And she said exactly the same as my mum did. And I was like, it's all I needed to hear. All right, nice one. So then I made a little list of all the best trainers in Britain. I was like, right. I said, no, sorry, I phoned Tom back and I said, Tom, what do you need? He said, right, you need a manager, you need a trainer. So like, I went away and made all my little list and approached Joe.
So that's what I was going to ask you about then, because I was going to link it in with the Rotunda. So I was going to say, going from one fantastic club in the Rotunda and moving over to the Joe Gallagher's gym in Manchester, what was that like and how did that come about?
So I knew Joe anyway, obviously with the Smiths and that.
Yeah.
I'd followed their career as they turned over and Joe and Callum had come up sparring Carl Froch when we was on camp, and obviously Rob McCracken changed Carl, who was our head performance coach. So we used to see him all the time. And I had quite a good relationship with him anyway. But when I made my little list of boxers, obviously Joe was on there, Rob was on there, and there was a few others, Tony Sims, the McGuigans, and I was thinking, right, but what I narrowed it down to was who's took people who people thought was only one level and took them to be, you know, past that level that anyone ever thought. And the only one that I could think of was Joe when I looked at the list, because, you know, it's easier being a great trainer than having a great boxer, but who's took the average ones and make them great. Yeah. So Joe was the only one I thought that done that. And I phoned Joe, and Joe was like, well, you know, I might not be for you, you might not be for me. I need to speak to the lads, and we'll come and do a trial period, and we did, and that was it.
And it just worked out. What was your first day like going down there?
He was like, right, at the end of the session, you're going to get on the scales. I was like, ooh, I don't know about that. I was like, he was like, what weight are you thinking about doing? I was like, yeah, I think about probably welter. And he was like, I think you could do super feather, you know. I was like, shut up, Joe. But yeah, it was just, we had bands. Obviously, all the lads I knew anyway. I knew Crawler, I knew Jose Bit, and me and Jose was sponsored by the same person as amateurs. So we always, he came up at events, knew Crawler, obviously knew all the Smiths. It was only really Marcus that I didn't know. Yeah. And so I wasn't like, it wasn't that like out of place feeling like with the first times, or, you know, I was quite, I don't want to say established, but people knew who I was. Yeah, people in boxing knew who I was, so it wasn't like, but then obviously, you've got to work. When you're in good company, you've got to match that. Yeah.
Brilliant. So going into your pro career then, your first 4 fights, all TKO win. Was you thinking, this is easy, this game, at the start?
My first 4 fights as an amateur were all TKOs before the third round. I don't think I ever made it past the fourth. I don't think I ever made it to the 4th round. No, I knew there was a, you know, even, in this country, we're in our infancy in professional boxing, and there is the gap between being, you know, one level and being world level is 2 different gaps, and it's very rare you can find an in between for women at this stage. Obviously, when the cycles go on, and, you know, the amateurs now turn pro and whatever, it'll get better. But we were just having not warm-up fights, because I don't want to be disrespectful to the girls I was fighting, but I was just getting back into it. I hadn't punched anything for like 3 years, so we kind of didn't know what level I was at either. We were just trying to test the waters and, you know, progressively get better.
You moved from that and you had your first professional loss. How did you deal with that?
I didn't. I remember crying on the way over with Joe, and it was just, I can't even put my finger on what it was. She had 1 shot in a locker, and we talked about it. You know, you go over your things, and she caught me with it, and I just didn't recover. It was one of them, you know, Ruiz shots. Yeah. You know, it was just caught me, and I knew where I was. I knew everything. I was telling my body to do stuff, and it just wouldn't do it. And it was heartbreaking, because I was setting myself on a way to, like, you know, get that rematch or build myself up to get my own title or whatever it was. And it just set you back so far. So yeah, it was heartbreaking, and I did question myself at that time, like, am I the boxer that I used to be, or am I the boxer that I even think I can be? So you have to, like, I had to go away. I actually went to Australia for a month for me, but it just so happened to be my brother's wedding, and I think that helped, because for a whole month I could just get away from boxing, and I think I needed that downtime mentally to be able to cope and process what had happened, to come back and either say, right, I tried and that was me, or no, I've still got more to give, and go back. And I came back with the attitude, can't wait to punch something. So yeah.
So before, you mentioned about when you first turned pro, you spoke to your family about, you know, turning over and becoming pro. When you had that first loss, did you speak to your family after it, and what was their views on it? They
were just like, I presume most Scouse families are quite honest, and like we have. It was like a jokey thing. Like, they were like, oh, you better not do that because this or something, you know what I mean? So it broke the ice of, no one really wanted to say anything, but then someone said something and that was a joke and that was the end, that was the over thing, and everyone was like, if you still think you can do it, don't worry about it, you know, it is what it is, you'll get over it, you've had losses before. And I think when you're amateur and lose, you know, especially on GB, you're somewhere competing every month, so you lose 1 month, you lose in January, February, you got another competition that you can go to and you can't get over it. You have to dust it off quickly. Yeah. But with professional, because there's such a long gap in between fights that you can't dwell on it, or you can dwell on it sometimes, and you need to like just dust it off and get on with it.
So what were the lads and the girls like in the gym when you went back? You had that month off in Australia. You come back to the gym. They all really supportive as well. Yeah,
that was the good thing about. So no matter what I've been through as a pro, one of the lads has been there, done it before me. So, you know, they're always there with advice, especially Stephen Smith. He's very good at communicating stuff with you and like talking through things with you, and like, yeah, it was just good to have that support network, to be fair. There's nothing that I have been through that they haven't. So
yeah. What was it like getting in the ring after your first loss? Was you feeling okay? Was you nervous or anything like that?
I was probably more nervous and tentative about, like, do not get caught with that shot. Do not get caught with that shot. And when you do lose in that way, I think that other people think that's the way to beat you. Yeah. So I think I remember Rebecca Donnelly just running at me. Yeah. That wasn't the next fight, but that was the next fight after that.
You TKO'd her, didn't you?
Yeah, eventually. She ran into a good left hand.
I watched that fight recently.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. So like, people, you lose and people think that's the blueprint of how to do it. But if you don't learn from a loss, then you possibly shouldn't be there. Shouldn't.
True. So after your first loss, you went on a run then of 3 wins, and then you got your world title shot against Terri Harper. What was it like getting your world title shot, and what did you think about the fight? Do you think you won it? Because I know I did.
Well, the fight was supposed to happen in April the first time, and I only got the opportunity because the borders shut. So they weren't letting boxers from outside of England box anybody. So it had to be all within house. So Eddie called and said, do you want the fight? And I was like, yeah, of course I do. And it was supposed to happen in the April. Obviously, the March, we got the lockdown. So then I thought, it might have gone. So then I was off like chasing Eddie, then saying, "Is it when it comes back? Is it definitely still on? Is it definitely still on?" He was like, "No, it's definitely on." So then we were still on lockdown, but then June the 1st, we was allowed back in the gyms. Professional athletes were allowed back, so we was training, and they were like, "Right, it's going to be August." So then we had that, but obviously the whole country was still locked down, and I had my little girl was 4 at the time, so I'd lost my bubble with my mum and my nan because they'd bubbled together, and I obviously didn't, because I was still mixing with people. I didn't want to put the baby in that bubble, so I was like, right, she's going to come with me. She's going to have to come with me, and then so she came to the whole camp, and it was a boss camp, and just to have her there, you know, in between rounds, she was giving me waters and thinking she was Joe's number 2, and she used to say, "Who's the boss, Joe?" And Joe used to go, "You are," and she'd be made up with herself. She'd be on the track, I'd be chasing her down the track, and it was a brilliant camp. I probably will never have a camp like that again. Yeah. And then I got the opportunity comes, and you know, Terry was talking a lot of things, and Steffi, to be fair, Joe was, but you know what Joe's like. But they were saying all these things, and like, I don't know whether they hyped it up or she believed in the hype. But when me and Joe, we were like people possessed. Yeah. And when Joe's like that, like, you have to match it, because if you don't match it and he wants it more than you, it's not going to work. You have to be able to match Joe. So then I was like a woman possessed, and we broke her down in every which way she was going to fight. I had an answer and a reply for. I like, the camp was, as you would expect for a world title, it was so hard. And she was just saying all this stuff, and I was like, I've broke you down, and you're not the boxer that you or your team believe you are. Like, and so everyone was saying, yeah, she's young and she's fresh and she's fit and she does this and she's got long arms and you're old, you're past yourself by you've lost the Obanov who she beat and this, that and that. And I was just like, okay, we'll see. And that's all I could say was, because I didn't have a response to the Obanov. Yes, she did. She beat her, so I didn't have a response to that. But I was like, you're not stronger than me. You're not more powerful than me. You don't punch faster than me. You're not fitter. You won't be fit. If you was fitter than me, you won't be by the time it comes. Yeah. And I was like, and they were just like, no, we think this. And on social media, everyone was saying, no, you're too old, you're too this. And I was like, we'll see. And then, obviously, we'll see.
So that everything that was going on in the world at the time, fight ended up being in Eddie Hearn's back garden. What was that like?
So it's Barry Hearn's old house. So it's the house Eddie grew up in, but Eddie lives somewhere else and Barry lives somewhere else. So now it's the Matchroom offices, and it's not like obviously your average office. It's in the middle of Essex. It's like country estate. It's like sheep, everything, acres. There was people jumping the fences, I think, trying to get in and see. Right. So it was like, I think they've got so many horses and stables, and so I was just like, wow. But on my week it was hot as well. We had a good run. Yeah. So it was it was good. And then obviously we headlined the bill. We had all pyrotechnics. I'd never really had that before. And I was just like, I can get used to this.
all the green flashing lights when you come out.
Yeah, all the fireworks and the thing. I was like, yes, Eddie, you can do this again.
So in the fight, when I watched it anyway, I think I had you up 96 to 94. I think I had you when I watched it. And I was in the living room, obviously. Scouse girl, Scouse lads, rooting you on and all that. And I thought she'd got it. 100% got it. And then I seen your reaction, seeing Joe's reaction, and I seen her reaction, and I thought she's definitely got it. I think everybody thought you'd won. What was your reaction when he called the draw at the end? What was your first feeling?
The first result that he said was 96, 94 Harper. Yeah. So I thought, this is going to be a joke. Like, I personally thought Pursoon won her fight the first time, bit closer the second, but I still think she might have edged it the second. But so I thought it's going to be one of them Pursoon things, and then I think I let go of the ref's hand, and then he went 94, 96 Jonas. So I was halfway between Joe and the ref. I was like, "Oh, what do I do here? Do I go back? Yeah, do I go back or doing that?" And then he said, and Ian John Lewis was it? Oh no, it was the Scouse one, wasn't it? Yeah. So he said,
it was, yeah.
Yeah, he said a draw, and I was like, what can I say? I thought on the night I won by a round. When I watched it back on the telly, I thought I won by 2. Yeah. Obviously, it was close. It was, and I think it's not Terry's fault either.
No, I know.
But it's one of them things, and I think there's nothing we can do. So there's no point in
In my eyes, it was going to be run back, but she's fought again since, hasn't she?
Yeah.
What was your feelings on that? Why didn't you get that fight?
So the thing was, or the Eddie statement or the Matchroom statement was that she has to do her mandatories.
Right, okay.
Now we all know when you're Eddie Hearn or Al Heyman or Top Rank or whoever, you don't always have to do your mandatories. Dillian White's been waiting as a mandatory for God knows how long, so you don't always have to do your mandatory. And if Eddie really wanted to, I would have had to fight it. Let's be honest. And I'm not like disrespecting Terry or anything by it or Matchroom by saying that, but if that's just, it is what it is. If he wanted to, he would have had it. I don't think we as MTK and me got an appeal in quick enough for them to not. Yeah. So they got their mandatory request in before I got my appeal in for the rematch, and that's basically, I think, what happened. So she did eventually have to do a mandatory, and I was commentating on it. She boxed really well, to be fair.
Yeah. What's the plan moving forward with it then? Is there going to be another fight with her? Because we all want to see it.
I'd like to think so. So we're trying to do a deal, a free fight deal with Matchroom, and we're stuck on how much we should be paid, and I think it's a big issue at the minute with women's pay in boxing and in sport in general. But it's something that I brought to the light. I don't think Matchroom are very impressed by it, but I'm a person of, I say it what it is, and I stand by what I say. I do think there was a 3-fight deal with either Troy Harper. There was a takeover for that show. There was Troy Harper, and I believe that Harper was worth more than a Troy or a Hamadouche fight. And I think as for the British public, who will be the ones predominantly watching Sky, I think that's the fight they want to see more than the others. But Eddie wasn't willing to increase what he thought I was worth, and I
just going back to pay for you there. At the end of the day, I think you get in the ring as a boxer, whether you're a man or a woman, and you want to be paid, because at the end of the day, you're putting your life on the line. You've got family, you've got kids and stuff like that. I'm with you on that, actually. And I think you should hold out.
My thoughts are, like, obviously that's the biggest fight for both of us, like commercially, whatever. That's the one people want to see. They want to see. I mean, she might want to do, kind of unifications, but the fight that people want to see, who will be watching Sky, is me and her. So I think that fight's worth more. Matchroom don't agree. That's fine. But when it comes to, fighting the first time, so Eddie tells part of the story, which are true, but it's the part that makes him sound good. So he said, okay, when I complained about it, he said, well, I offered you more money for the second half of fight than you got for the first. And I've offered you the Harper fight. And that's true. Yeah. But he didn't say that the first was terrible money. And I took it for the opportunity, because Joe didn't want me to take it at all. Yeah. I was saying, Joe, it's a big opportunity. Like, do you believe I can win? He went, yeah. I went, well, I do. So if I take it and I win it, then that opens a whole load of doors. So don't worry about what the money is there, because the bigger picture is we're going to win and move on to better money anyway. So Joe was like, okay. But Joe really didn't want me to. So I done that. And to be fair, everything that Joe said, you said, right, Matchroom will base you off that now. And that's what they've kind of tried to do. But my argument with that is, like, there's me and whoever, Fowler, our S&C coaches cost the same, our sparring partners cost the same, me travel to the gym cost the same, me bills at home cost the same. So why am I getting paid less? And if it's because of commercial pull or whatever, that's not my job. That's your job as the promoter to do that. Do you know what I mean? You're a promoter. Promote. That's your job. That's your job. So you can't, like, that argument doesn't kind of work, if you know what I mean, because that's your job. I'm supposed to fight and win, perform well, and make people want to watch me. That's what I did. That's what I did. So
I seen an interview with Terri Harper. I don't know how long ago after the fight was. And all the questions were actually about you.
I know, I've seen that. I've seen that myself. I mean, that was on the lead up to the thing, and I know. And it must be, like, I feel a little bit sorry for it. And Steffi, like, I actually don't mind Steffi, he's all right, but he talks about, like, she gets bullied on social media, and, because of this fight, and because of, like, he says the Scouse crowd and whatever. But if we go back and look at my social media before the Harper fight and what people were saying to me, like, deal with it. You're the champion. People are going to call you out. People are going to say if you have a bad performance, like Callum Smith, like whoever, like, people start saying stuff, and that's, if you're the champion, you've just got it. You've got to be a bit stronger. And I think that maybe down a little bit to immaturity, not in a bad sense, just out, because she is quite young, but you've got to be that little bit harder. I mean, that's just that's part and parcel. No one likes it, and you shouldn't be able to call people whatever you want on social media just because you're hiding behind the profile. But at the same time, it does come with it, and you've got to, like, deal with it.
How do you find social media? Do you find it being a bit of a distraction at times?
When it comes to big occasions, I just turn it off.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, a couple of weeks before the Harper fight, and especially after Matchroom had put something out, it it went wild, and it seemed like thousands of people added me just to slag me off. And I was reading all these comments, and like some were just like, you know, your average, your crap or whatever, and then others were like went a bit deeper, and I thought, right, so I went through and I liked them. And I thought, after this fight, I'm going to reply to every single one of these. So I liked all the ones because it saves, doesn't it? You like one. Yeah. So I thought, I'm going to like all these because after the fight, I'm going to reply to every single one of them. And then it got to, obviously the fight happened. And then, to be fair, some of them people did message me and like, look, we are so sorry. We wasn't fans. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, fair dues. And that kind of put me off replying to some of the others.
So you're doing a fantastic job being a pundit on Sky. How did that come about, and is this something that you enjoy and you want to continue to do in the future?
I think, you know, talking is my best subject if you can't tell.
I haven't noticed.
Yeah. So it's something. You know, I'm not talking about something I don't know about. It's not like I'm explaining Pythagoras or anything. I'm just talking about boxing, and you know, I do know a little bit. So. But it's been enjoyable. I've been, you know, worked with Anna and the Sky team. I've worked with Gabby Logan on the DAZN thing, and it's a good thing to be. And definitely, I would look to do that in the future and get more roles doing that. And obviously, the more you do, the better you get. But yeah, they just asked me. I think because Sky half felt a little bit sorry for me because I wasn't on the bill that they brought me in as a pundit. And I think the whole thing kind of at the end was to half shout me out, but it didn't actually work out like that because he was like, yeah, unifications. And then Sky just panned to me and I was like, I don't know what reaction he was expecting from me. I was like, well, what can I say? Yeah, what can I say? Yeah. She wants a unification.
She doesn't want to fight. It sounds like to me.
Like, I don't blame her team for that. I don't blame her team for that.
It looked to me like sort of halfway through the fight that she thought, I think it was in the 6th or the 7th round, I can't remember. I think it hit her with a left hook. And it looked
like, the 8th. The dreaded 8th.
Oh my God. Joe. Like she was gone. Oh. And I think in her face, I was thinking, she didn't expect that.
No.
I think she, I don't know how to put it, sort of like, didn't respect your power before you went in there. And then as soon as you went in, she's been like, oh, shoot.
I think all she thought I had was power.
Yeah.
But you know,
she couldn't get hold of you, could she?
Well, her thing was that she's a good boxer, boxes at distance, big long arms, big like she'll keep young, fresh, and she'll keep it moving and like be on her toes. But I know, I knew she wasn't stronger than me, so. Yeah. If I could pull her into any game and she was prepared to stand there and tussle with me, that wasn't going to work well for her.
Yeah.
So I think Joe always said, like, you have to win the first 2 rounds. You have to do that. I'm like, make her respect you. And I went in there like half, not hesitant, but I was thinking I expected her boxing at distance to be better.
Yeah.
Than it was, and then the cut on the eye changed the whole game because that's why I think I win the first 2 rounds by boxing. So I outboxed her, and that was supposed to be her greatest asset. So when it came to the cut on the eye, they'd said in the change rooms, if it's by a punch, and it gets too bad, if it's not thingy, by the time you're going into the 5th round, it'll be stopped. And, it'll be stopped and it'll be a TKO. But if it's by a head clash, it'll go to the scorecards. So it happened. And personally, I thought it was a butt. But then the ref come around at the end of the 2nd round and said that was a punch that. So he'd classed it as a punch. So I knew if it got any worse, that it was going to be stopped and she'd win on a technicality, really.
So I thought it was a butt as well.
No,
he classed it as a punch.
He classed it as a punch because she has a mark there where it's gone there, yeah. But obviously, I can't argue with him. What he says happens. What he says goes. So he'd said that, and I knew it was bad because I could feel it. I could feel like, and I could see the towel as thingy. I can't even remember who was doing the cut. Was in there doing it. I could see the towel as he'd pull it away, and I was thinking, bloody hell, that's loads, and it's quite deep. So then when I went into the third round, I was like, right, I have to protect this eye, and I have to get it close. So that changed the way I box, and I don't think if it didn't have that, it would have been a different fight.
Yeah.
But obviously in boxing, you just have to roll with the punches, as they say, and just take it. But yeah, the eighth round, Joe had showed me the day we'd gone through like tactics again, and he'd showed me finishes, and he said, you get your opportunity, you make sure you finish it, and he showed me all the Callum knockouts, all the Gallagher Gym knockout reels he showed me. And then when that happened at the end when we'd come away, I was like, Joe, the finish, and he was like, don't. Oh, you're like, I was like, we laugh about it, but like he had said about that. And again, going back to what you said, it was the thing that because Joe had said today, you're going to get chin checked in this fight. You can't take the power. And Joe was obviously playing my games as well, but she didn't respect that. So, but then, and the whole thing was by 8 rounds, I was supposed to be tired because I'd never done 10, and I was too old and I wasn't fitter than she was fitter than me. So I was supposed to be done, but I got stronger as it went on, and she was fading. Yeah. So, and I don't think she proper recovered from that 8th round. Because 9 round, I think I won, and round 10, I think I won.
Yeah, I think you won 9 and 10 as well. That's when I give you the extra 2.
Yeah.
Well, watching the home. That's just a person. Yeah. Nothing to do with boxing. Like.
But yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope you get the fight anyway.
Nice one.
Moving on anyway, you're not the only athlete in your family, are you? Your sister's a football player, isn't she, as well?
Yeah, my little sister, yeah.
What's that like, having a sister who plays football?
It's boss. It's like, we went to Paris to watch it in the World Cup. Yeah. And my little girl is there, she not one bit interested in what I do, or like, but Auntie Nikita's her hero. Oh, so like someone give her a drum, she's there, boom, boom. Every time Keith got the ball, she was like, that's my auntie, that's my auntie. So then when she would come home, she went, Mum, I want to be a footballer like Auntie Kita. I was like, okay, babe, that's fine by me. It's a sport I like. I'm like, yeah, that's fine by me. So, but it's mad because like we laugh about it in our family, within our family. Like you're gonna say it to like, what if one of us ever has a boy? We'll be like, oh yeah, you learn footy from your mum, you learn boxing from your mum. You know what I mean? It's just a mad circumstance, but yeah. So it's boss, and I think I don't take any credit for what she's done because she's had her own struggles and bounced back from her own things and done what she's doing and made something of herself. Do
you think having you there and what your experience or what you've been through maybe drove her on looking up to her older sister or anything?
I think a little bit because Keita's got a twin.
Oh right,
Kelsey. You wouldn't know by looking at them. One's this big, one's that big. There's both 2 different shades of black as well. So like, people always say, "Oh, you're like your Tasha, you're like your Tasha, you." And like, even now, people's like, "Oh, used to the ring, you like each other." And I don't think we really look alike, even though people say we do. We've got the same mannerisms and probably the same mindset. So I think she like. I don't want to say it like any way aspired wanted to be like me or anything like that, but she always had that I'm like Tasha kind of thing. So
the older sibling sort of thing.
Yeah. That vibe. And everything in the whole family is a competition. Everything, like who runs up the stairs quickest, who used to come run the shop the quickest. Like I went to the gym session with my mum once, and I was like, never again am I going with you, because everything that I'd done, she had to do one more.
She had left off than you, did she?
Oh, it's just a nightmare. As a kid growing up, if you beat my mum at anything, you'd won. Like hands down, you'd won, because my mum will not let you win anything.
Yeah.
So with your daughter, how old is your daughter now, by the way?
5.
So if she come to you one day and was like, Mum, I want to be a boxer, would you push her that way?
I just encourage her to be active, and I do. Yeah. Like, in the first lockdown, we were like, I was doing a little bit of schoolwork for a little bit, and I got stressed out. I was like, right, come on, babe, we're having an Olympics in the garden. So like, yeah, it's just like, I just do what my parents did and encourage me, and I find my own way. And hopefully she will do too. But I think when you're a kid following your parents' footsteps, like, you know, like Jamie Carragher's lad, you've got big boots to fill, and Ricky Hatton's lad, you've like, everyone's got this expectation of Nas's lad, you know, everyone's like, all eyes are on these kids waiting to see if they're anything like the parents. And I think that's a bit of unwanted pressure. You're already, you know, going to try and make your own way, and you go through lots of pressure and stress yourself, and to try and live up to someone. I think that's always a little bit harder to do, and extra things that you just don't need. Right. So I would never discourage it away from boxing. Boxing's given me everything that I've got and more. But yeah, I just think possibly it's a bit harder when you're following in someone's footsteps.
So everything you've been in your sporting career, and you were giving advice to someone else, what would it be? So you've got a young girl, for example, want to come through and be a professional sports person. What advice would you give them? I
do loads of like school talks and motivational talks and stuff, and I say like, work hard, try your best, never give up, and the biggest one of all them is believe in yourself, because sometimes only you can see your dream, and only you can see, you know, how hard you're willing to work, how much you're willing to put in, and nobody else can see it, or nobody else will believe it. But if you believe in yourself more than anything else, anything's possible.
Fantastic.
I was watching an interview with one of your coaches. I'm sorry because I can't remember his name. He's in the Rotunda, and he was talking a bit about you, and he was basically saying most of the girls now who come into the gym only come there because of you, because you set that ground for them to go. How does that make you feel, knowing that you've been that much of a role model for everyone?
God, I don't. Just, like I said before, you don't really think about things like that when you're the athlete yourself until you know, maybe 10 years time when I go back and look back. Or it's nice. Yeah. I've had a little kid too when I was doing a talk saying, "You're my hero." And it proper got me. I was like, and when I was doing coaching for the Rotunda, one of the young was doing it with the young kids, and they went to the championships and they'd made it all the way to the finals, and they lost the final. And obviously the Rotunda put the plaques on the wall of all the winners and the champions that they had. And he was like, "I just wanted me plaque on the wall." And I was like, I got all choked up. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to have to go a second. I was like, So, it's like, you know, it's a boss feeling. And if you can inspire, the whole legacy of the Olympics was to inspire a generation, and that's what we've done. Then we've done our job.
Brilliant. So what's it like being a mum, sports personality, an athlete, all in one? What does that mean to you?
I mean, first and foremost, the mum's the most important, and that means that's the biggest title, the best title in the world. But yeah, when I speak to other working mums, like I have the same struggles. You know, I'm always rushing, I'm always late, I'm always, you know, having one thing to the next, and I always feel like I don't have enough time, and that's the same with any, you know, working parent or working mum, and I don't see myself as any different. It's just my job's a little bit different, but I'm still going through the same as every other woman does. So,
brilliant. Yeah. So Tasha, we've got 12 quick fire questions. I'm just going to ask you. Ask everyone else. I would be as well. Who's the hardest trainer you've seen in the gym?
God.
That's anywhere, by the way.
God, I know this is supposed to be quick, but I can't.
Okay.
Paul Butler. Super fit, absolute. Takes anything that he puts his hand to, he can do, and not do just good. He does it like exceeds and does well. I've never seen anyone run, play footy, play your tennis, you know, snooker, whatever he does, box, obviously, whatever he does, he's brilliant at.
Okay, so that brings you on to the next one. Who's the worst trainer in the gym you've ever seen? It's being asked to the other two boxers who've been on the show.
Okay, I'm going to say... Oh, God.
They give their answer.
I'm trying to think of some amateurs. Do you know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna say Nikki Adams, and she's just she wasn't that she is just lazy. Like she she'd only ever like train well for like an Olympics or like a World Championships or the whole year. She just like, and anything she could do to get out of a run, she would. So Nikki Adams.
Brilliant. Who's your sporting idol?
Tanny Gray-Thompson. She was like, I think for me, especially at the age I am now, a bit more mature, is that I think when you've got a platform and you should use it for positive reasons, and she does that. You know, she was the first like a para athlete that I ever remember who was, you know, like a kind of superstar, and she actually made me watch and enjoy the Paralympics. And now obviously she's a member of parliament and does all stuff for disability rights and stuff. So I think when you've got that and you've done that, you should use it for positivity and be productive with it, and she does so.
Brilliant. What is your musical guilty pleasure?
Oh God.
What do you listen to when no one's around?
If someone listened to my like iPod or my playlist, they'd think I was bipolar, because it goes from like a ballad, like Mariah Carey's ballad, to like pure like house techno trance stuff, and then back to like Whitney Houston, and then, you know, something like pure deep rap. So it's God.
Sounds like you've got my playlist.
I know, but it is, but it's not even like in an order. So it's like all the ballads together, all the like rap together, or whatever. It's just like whatever goes, and like in alphabetical order just goes, and it's madness.
So you can go from singing like a Whitney Houston song in the car, nice, and then all of a sudden go to a rave.
Yeah, if you see me jogging around Sefton Park, I'm sprinting down one way and just like casually strolling 1 second. It's because I'm listening to a different song.
Brilliant. What's your favourite film?
I'm a big kid, so I want to choose a Disney one, but then the adult in me wants to choose Sleepers.
Sleepers, it's a fantastic film,
But the big kid in me probably wants to choose Robin Hood.
Yeah, like the old one.
Yeah, the old one, yeah.
The fox.
Yeah.
That brings me on to the next one. If somebody was making a film about you, who would you want to play you?
Rihanna.
I thought of that one before.
No. Or I can play her either or. So if Rihanna, you be making an epilogue, I want to do it. I'll even lose the weight.
Just like Rihanna. Like, I'll speak to her for you. She's on the show next week.
Okay, then. Fury or Joshua?
Joshua.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Ronaldo.
Night in or night out?
Oh, night out.
If you wasn't a professional boxer, what would you be and why?
Realistically, God knows, but what I'd want to be is a tennis player.
Tennis player?
Yeah. Love tennis.
Yeah. If you had to go on one show, I'm a Celebrity or Love Island, what would it be?
I'm a celebrity.
Yeah. Who's your celebrity crush? And you can't say me.
Or me.
No, I'm only messing about, not celebrities.
God, I've got a few. Channing Tatum's one of them.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. That's my wife now.
You can't not. You can't not like Tom Hardy.
Christmas calendar with Tom Hardy. I backed out, obviously.
Oh, well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Been fantastic, Natasha, and good luck for the future and everything you do, and hope you get that fight. Thanks very much.
Future world champion, Natasha.
Oh, nice
Thank
one.
you very much for coming on.
Cheers.
Really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Thank you.